Hello and welcome to a slightly different Pokemon video. We are here inside of Pokemon Home to start things off, which is not something you see every day, but we do have ourselves a lot of shinies to talk about, as recently in some of my previous playthroughs, like the Pokemon X playthrough we just did, I did go ahead and mention some of the shinies that I have caught recently. I made my question of the day based around some of the shinies that I should go and try and catch. Some people were interested in seeing how my shiny collecting was going. This is half to please those nosy people, and half also as a personal milestone kind of upload, so that I can go ahead and show off all of the shinies that I've caught so far, with some kind of evidence to back them up for if anything does happen to Pokemon Home in the future. I've got a video there to like showcase all of them, but I very recently hit 500 shinies for my Shiny Living Dex, which is a good chunk of shinies. I'm actually very happy with it. I feel like that's a good halfway point, as we are now at 1,025 Pokemon total that have been, added to the Pokemon universe for all the years with the new generations. So I want to go over, all of these good old shinies, where I caught them. I do also have, this is to prepare everyone for how nerdy this is going to get, I do also have a big fat spreadsheet, which currently shows where all of the shinies I'm up to. It shows, which ones that I have with a nice tally counter, so I know how many shinies I have in total. It also shows where I caught the Pokemon and where they currently are, most of which are in Home for the sake of this video, obviously. But, it's a pretty simple spreadsheet. It also shows, regional forms of which Pokemon I have, forms in. So prepare for things to get a little bit nerdy, but hey, that's part of the fun. But to start things off, we're going to go through the good old Pokemon Home Shiny Dex. The way this is set up with these Bulbasaurs and Charmanders and stuff is everything is set up where its placement would be in a full normal Living Dex. The reason I was able to do this so easily, and the reason why I've set it up like that, is because I already have a Living Dex in Pokemon Home where I have caught every single Pokemon, which is why I started on this insane endeavor of catching every single Pokemon as a shiny in the first place. But to start going through it, we have quite a lot of Pokemon picked up in Pokemon Home, like all of the start Pokemon, because, to be honest, this was also a big part of why I started shiny hunting, was because Pokemon Home, Pokemon Violet, and some other games like that just made it so much easier to catch shinies that I was like, wait a minute, maybe I don't have to be as insane as some people like A-Drive the shiny hunt 8 hours a day for a living. Maybe I can just catch some shinies conveniently with, just using shiny sandwiches in Pokemon Violet. Pokemon Legends Arceus made it easier with good old mass outbreaks. And to be honest, those sorts of things combined just kind of made me start shiny hunting in general. I've only been shiny hunting for, properly for about 3 or 4 years. It really hasn't been that long, so this is some really good progress for that amount. I generally stick to shiny hunting for half an hour to an hour a day, and it's worked pretty well. First shiny that I ever got, with that at the bottom, the big old caps lock's name, Carl, hey. This was my first shiny I ever caught, which was back in Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green, Victory Road, with a Machoke. Very, very early on that one. Still kind of happy about that one. Very old, it's been transferred all the way up. I wish you could still transfer Pokemon up from earlier generations, but I'm pretty sure there's been a cutoff with Pokemon Bank being removed. I don't think you can use Pokemon Bank anymore, so I think if you have any shinies in earlier games now, you just can't trade them through, which is very unfortunate. Gengar is a shiny that I actually have 2 of, just because of the fact that its Mega Form had that nice white look to it, and I really liked that. It was a very different shiny, whereas Gengar before kind of sucked. But the Gengar line's pretty cool. This is the part in the video where I say, give me a Lapras Prevolution. As I just can't help myself. Funnily enough, this is where we bring out the spreadsheet. So in the spreadsheet, with some of the more, extreme cases of Pokemon that really took me a while, some of you may remember the Zapdos arc, where I complained about Zapdos in my videos over and over and over again for an extended period of time that lasted about 9 months. That one got written down. This was 18,985 soft resets in Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, which took me, as you can see here, around 316 hours of in-game time. not out of game time, that is in-game time in my Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. That's insane. That's an insane Pokemon to catch. This, at the moment, is my longest shiny hunt to date, and to be honest, it was not worth it. The amount of effort for this shiny, which I hate it. I hate the shiny. All it gets is it gets slightly more red feet and a slightly more red beak. That's the only way to differentiate it. At least Moltres, as silly as it looks with its pink flames and all that, or sorry, with its pink chicken body like a burnt chicken, at least it looks different. Zapdos doesn't even look different, and it caused me so much effort to catch that thing. Hate it. Hate it. And some of the ones that I have caught as shiny, for example, the good old Dragonite line, they're still in my Pokemon Go, mostly because my Dragonite is one of my best Pokemon in Pokemon Go, so I haven't transferred it across, but also Pokemon Go has this really annoying thing where you can only trade like 4 Pokemon from Pokemon Go to home per week, and I forget about it. So there's a lot that I could add to this Pokemon Home Living Dex like that in the earlier generations. Most of the later ones I've already transferred, as I did it kind of back to front from the back at the end of the Pokedex first, but there's a couple that I could still add in here and there. Some of the ones that I can add is the full Chikorita line and Totodile line, as I have those in Pokemon Go as well, just like the Cyndaquil. Most of the Community Day Pokemon, they're pretty much the only Pokemon that I've really got in Pokemon Go. There's been a couple others here and there, but that's the only time I really play it anymore. So mostly, you know, like Hoppip got a Community Day, so that got picked up pretty easily. You know, Eevee had a Community Day, which was great, by the way, because it allowed me to get all of the evolutions in one fell swoop, because that was when I was actually playing Pokemon Go a lot. But a lot of these other ones are pretty much just Pokemon Violet for a lot of it. Pokemon Violet has been a lot. I think I've gotten a total of 275 of my shinies out of the 500 have been in Pokemon Violet alone, including the Pokemon Violet DLC, as I have played a little bit of that. So a lot of them have been there. One beautiful shiny that I'm very happy about is the old shiny multiscale Lugia. I'm very happy with that one. That one is one of the prettier shinies for sure. The good old days of Lombre and Nuzleaf, because they were actually caught in the Ultra Sun and Moon wormholes, where they had that crazy, like, 30+% shiny chance if you went a certain amount in the wormholes, and I kind of enjoyed the wormhole game, not gonna lie. So those popped out of that one pretty easily, so that gave me, like, those 4 shinies right there. I think Grumpig is also another one that was in the wormholes. I think Medicham was as well, now that I'm thinking about it. I think there was a lot of Gen 3 that was thrown into those Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon wormholes, actually, now that I think about it. So there's a lot of duplicates of those. I do have a box entirely dedicated to duplicates. There's a good chunk of those in there, because you didn't really get to pick and choose. You couldn't soft reset for it. It was just like, you got to the end of the wormhole, and whatever it was, if it was shiny, I just sort of caught it again. That was pretty much my plan there. Altaria was another one that went into that, I think. Shiny Absol, another one of my favorites. I do like Shiny Absol a lot. Beautiful red, beautiful Pokemon. Shiny Zangoose is actually another one of my favorites as well. My Lotic being shiny is nice. This is just a nice box, to be honest, with those 3. It's a nice box. Snorunt is currently a shiny that I absolutely hate, because I messed up and I accidentally evolved my female Snorunt into a Glalie, which has caused me problems, because every shiny Snorunt I have caught since then has been a male, and only female Snowrunts can become Frostlass. So I accidentally evolved the first Snorunt that I caught that was shiny into a Glalie, and then I caught 2 males. So Snorunt can suck some nuts. It's time to go back to the spreadsheet. So we have some numbers down here. Before Zapdos, the Pokemon that was my longest shiny hunt was actually Registeel. Registeel took me 15,964 soft resets in Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, which took a total of 266 hours. I wrote this down with the hours because I thought this was going to be the longest shiny hunt I would ever have in my life. And then about, you know, I did Registeel, then I did Latias Latios, which were both very quick. They were both very quick, to be fair. But I did both of those, and then I went for the legendary bird trio, and yeah, Zapdos happened. So that was unfortunate. The rest of these, though, pretty quick to make up for it. I think my average is pretty much what it should be, which is crazy with these two extreme outliers of Registeel and Zapdos. Because there's more nerdy stuff later on where there's some maths involved, but you've been warned. I do also have like a little tally counter over here for each separate generation in my spreadsheet that shows me how many of each generation I've caught as shiny, which, you know, extra bit of nerdiness, but hey, it's kind of fun. And in Gen 4, funnily enough, my favorite Pokemon, Luxxra. You might be like, cool, you have 3 of these. No. Now, you see, a normal person might catch, like, I don't know, a couple of shiny Shinxes and then stop. I did not. I caught a lot of shiny Shinxes. I ended up catching 18 shiny Shinxes on the Pokemon Go Community Day for Shinx. That is what an insane person does. Someone should have stopped me, but no one was there to stop me. I just kept going. No one could stop the shiny Shinxes. I ended up with 18 from the Community Day alone, and I also have more just from other Pokemon games. Like, I got a shiny Luxio when Pokemon Diamond came out, and I transferred it all the way up. It's not the one in my Pokemon Home, as I think it's in one of my games at the moment. I don't know which game it's in, to be honest, but it's there somewhere. Vespiquen is a fun one. Vespiquen is one that I intentionally went and shiny hunted when a mass outbreak occurred for it. Because obviously, if a mass outbreak for something like Vespiquen or Salazzle appears, you go for it, as they are, you know, very awkward to get otherwise, because you have to rely on finding a female combi that can evolve, which is less likely. And then I actually ended up getting a full odds one, about 20 minutes later. Not kidding. Just ended up with a full odds one. Just to put them next to each other to prove that they're not the same. Like, I'm not kidding. They really, I got 2 of them. I wouldn't have shiny hunted for 2 of them. There was no need. I also have a spare Dialga, which is kind of fun. But yeah, you know, and the male Snorunt, which I talked about before. We don't need to talk about him, but yeah, there's some duplicate boxes over there. And then we have another Pokemon that I shiny hunted way back in like Pokemon Diamond with Lucario, as it was my favorite Pokemon for a while, and then the internet ruined it, so I stopped on that one. More evolutions. Then there's Gallade, which I kind of want to end up making my main shiny hunter, as I've used Smeargle and Breloom before, but I've got the moveset on this thing ready to shiny hunt. I just haven't actually, like, moved it forwards and leveled it up, ready to make it a Pokemon that can, you know, shiny hunt with Hypnosis, Thunder Wave, False Swipe. It's got a good moveset to shiny hunt with, and it is a shiny itself, so I kind of want to shiny hunt in the future with this. We have the good old classic Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina here. 2 of these are from codes. Well, all of these are from codes, I should say. Which was when, I think, Black, 2, White 2, I think they had shiny codes for all of these from Game, and I got them all from that. I also got a full odds Dialga, which is in my other box, from an Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon wormhole, which was pretty cool. Yeah, summer 2013. These are all from a good old code, because it's by the person that says summer 2013. So they've been there for a while. This box looks so empty comparatively. The Gen 5 boxes are a little bit lackluster. These are all a little bit lackluster until we get to the ones that were in Pokemon Go Community Days. Gen 5 is not my favorite gen. There was less shiny hunting at this time, for sure. It is just... There's nothing wrong with the games. The games are still great. I love every Pokemon game. Gen 5 was just that point in my life where I stopped playing Pokemon just a little bit. So it ended up with me not shiny hunting as much for those generations, as I don't have as much of a connection with any of those Pokemon, whereas a lot of other generations I go, I like those Pokemon, I use those on competitive teams. I use those for my playthrough. But yeah, there's not as much of that for Gen 5. Gen 6 has a good selection, however. We have the good old Toothpaste Zygarde, which was from a code. Everything else I think is pretty much from either Go or Pokemon Violet. I think Heliolisk I caught in X and Y full odds. Or... No, Heliolisk was probably an Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon wormhole, now that I think about it. Those wormholes, man. A lot of shinies from those wormholes. Very worth doing. Funnily enough, one of the shinies that I actually really like in this box is just Charger Bug. I just like the red bus, man. I just like the red bus. I think it's a good shiny. It's a really simple shiny, but it's a good shiny. Speaking of good shinies, two of my favorites. Okay, I have to talk about these. Pyukamaku, just because I need to say it. Okay, you know, it just needs to happen. I bred this in Pokemon Shield, because it's Pyukamaku. I needed to have one. And Shiny Minior, which is honestly maybe my favorite shiny of all time. It's such a cool shiny. The one problem with Shiny Minior is the fact that you can't see it until the shell is broken. That's the one part that makes this such a pain to hunt. It is one of the worst hunts you can try and do, but it is worth it. It is a super cool shiny when you do get it. And then we have a couple of interesting ones here, which is like the Poipole, which I think was also a game code. I think Zeraora was a Pokemon Home reward for something. Which it does say home there, so yep, that seems correct. That was a Pokemon Home reward at some point. I don't remember what it was for, but either way, I was like, Shiny Zeraora, yes please. So I grabbed that, pretty cool. We have Rookidee and Corvisquire. Funnily enough, I don't have Corviknight, which is weird. That's all I've got to say about that. It's weird. I have the entire Applin line, because the Applin line to me is very funny, with Flapple and Appleton, which were two of my favorites from Sword and Shield, and with the DLC that released lately for Pokemon Violet, I also got the Diplin and Hydrapple as well. Zacian and Zamazenta, I think, were also codes from games, so those are those two shinies. Again, a lot of Pokemon are shiny locked. Like, for example, over here, you know, Kubfu, Urshifu, Zarude, Glastrier, Spectra, Calyx, these are all shiny locked, and I have these written down so I know never to try and hunt them. This spreadsheet is very helpful for that as well, just so I know, like, hey, don't waste your time trying to shiny hunt those. You can't get those, like Enamorus. So, that's also very useful to know that. Also, I have gone ahead, we'll just do this with the spreadsheet. I've gone ahead and I've caught every single Pokemon in Generation 9 as a shiny that is not shiny locked. Which is slightly insane. It is slightly insane, but that was my actual first goal of the Shiny Living Dex, was I just wanted to complete Generation 9. Because of the shiny sandwiches, I thought it was a pretty realistic goal, and now I kind of want to go back to some of the earlier generations and try and fill out, like, all of Gen 1 and stuff. But yeah, that was kind of the start of all this, really. That was when I started tracking everything, and also when I got, you know, the shiny addiction. So to see how it looks just in the boxes, it's very nice, actually. They're all just full. They're just full, which is really, really nice. One of my favorites is, of course, the Dunsparce, as this is... Is there a way to see, actually? I don't think there's a way to see it in Pokemon Home, but I have it as my Pokemon Violet, like, trainer card thing. But this is a free segment shiny Dunsparce, which is a very, very hard thing to get. The chance of it is 1 in 409,600. Because you need a shiny Dunsparce, which is 1 in 4,096. And 1 in 100 Dunsparces become a free segment to Dunsparce, which is 1 in 100. Combine them together, 1 in 409,600, and the shiny free segment to Dunsparce was my first shiny Dunsparce that I evolved. So I was incredibly lucky with that, because one, it was one of the first Dunsparces I found with the shiny sandwich, and it evolved into the free segment form. So this is one of the, this is probably the rarest thing that I own, actually. Just in general, this is probably the rarest thing that I have in general, but it's very cool. I'll probably show it off at the end. And that is the end of the boxes, excluding shiny locks at the moment, as a lot of the later Gen 9 things are shiny locks, but we have the Arcaludon, we have the Hydrapple, you know, all of the new stuff, with all of the Paradox forms, which is really cool. We have some forms at the end here from things that I've picked up in, like, Pokemon Legends and stuff like that. And then I also have a couple of duplicate boxes. Like I said, I have another male Snorunt because of unfortunateness. I have this Dialga, which was the full odds one from the Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon wormhole, which is super cool. I got an extra Duraludon just because sometimes when you're hatching eggs, an extra one pops out in the same batch that you're, you know, going from. The duplicates of the Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon wormholes with Floatzels and stuff. There's been so many Red Gyarados giveaways that it's just not even impressive anymore. Kind of the same with Metagross. I feel like Metagross got given away a bunch. So that's not that impressive anymore. But yeah, a couple of duplicates. Oh, webcam is in the way. Just to remove my webcam for a moment. This is currently what we're at in Pokemon Violet with my free segment Shiny to Dunsparce behind it, just to prove that it's real and I'm not a crazy person. And I'm at 295 Shiny Pokemon encountered in good old Pokemon Violet, which is a crazy, crazy amount. But that is pretty much where I'm going to be wrapping things up. We'll go over a little bit more of the spreadsheet, I guess. And at the bottom of my spreadsheet, I have the good old section where I did a little bit of maths. We have the good old sort of counter going through all of the whole left side where I've put all of the ones on the spreadsheet to track how many shinies that I have gotten. We have the forms and the regional forms separated just because that's how I kind of wanted to have it. Alolan forms of things are kind of like new Pokemon, but I separated them just because. This does include the amount of Pokemon that are currently shiny locked, which will all hopefully be unshiny locked in the future. But I feel like 500 is pretty much the halfway point, considering the amount of Pokemon that are still currently shiny locked, so I wanted this to be like a halfway point video milestone. Again, this is kind of a personal milestone type of video, so I understand that not everyone is going to care, but this is more for me to look back on in the future and be like, this is when I did a thing. So that's kind of what that's for. I also have a tracker, which is adding up all of the Pokemon that I have caught from shiny resetting in Brilliant Diamond and Shiny Pearl, and it takes all of them, adds all of the numbers up of how many soft resets they took, and divides it by the amount of Pokemon that I've caught for an average number of how many encounters it is taking me per shiny that I find, and we're at 4,206 soft resets for each shiny. That is with the shiny charm, which is why I've written this note, that the shiny charm does not work on legendary encounters in Brilliant Diamond and Shiny Pearl. At first I thought it was a bug because of the whole Registeel thing, and I thought maybe there's a bug with shiny hunting. And then I found out that some people actually just documented that the shiny charm doesn't work for legendaries specifically, soft resetting in Brilliant Diamond and Shiny Pearl. Shiny charm, as far as I'm aware, still works when you're just out and about encountering wild Pokemon in the wild or breeding. It just doesn't work with soft resets, which is unfortunate considering that's the game where I decided to get the shiny charm and soft reset in, but hey, it's fine. But yeah, with that, I think that is pretty much everything that I needed to go ahead and say. This is still funny to me. I did write this down. I was very excited when the Dunsparce happened. Sorry to bring it up again. It feels a little bit like bragging, but it is. It is bragging. I was very happy about this, so I did write that down. That's still one of the rarest things that I actually own, so I'm excited about that. But that is my shiny collection. There's a couple spares here and there that aren't documented in this because they don't really care about spares. But I hope with Pokemon Legends Kalos, or ZA, ZA, whatever we want to call it, I'm sure the community will decide on a proper name more when it releases. But when that releases, I'll be shiny hunting a lot more. I feel like I'm pretty much done with shiny hunting in Pokemon Violet for the time being. You know, I feel like I've gotten pretty much everything that I really wanted from it. I've gotten, like, 1, most of the easy shinies, 2, all of the generation of the newest generation that came out, which was super important, and 3, most of the shinies that I wanted because they look cool, like Minior and Pyukumuku and stuff. What did I just say? Sorry. Pyukumuku! There we go. Okay, alright, I had to fix that. But yeah, I've caught most of the shinies that I want, so I think when the new Legends game comes out, we will probably dive into shiny hunting a bit more. There might be more live streams, potentially, with the new Legends game. I did live stream all of Legends Arceus when it came out, and to be honest, I'd be down to do it again. I really enjoyed it. The only issue is my capture card seems like it might be on its last legs, as plugging it in today, it had a little bit of some issues. It was a little bit iffy getting it working, as, you know, it hasn't been used in quite a long time. So as long as the capture card holds up and my controllers are working when not connected to my Switch, which sometimes has some issues, as long as they are working, we will be going ahead and continuing with Pokemon Legends when the next one releases as live streams, I think is the plan. Oh yeah, Sizzle, currently what I'm going for, reading for it in Pokemon Violet. Only doing a couple a day, not focusing on it too hard, but that's currently what I'm going for, which is why my shiny cipher is still in good old Pokemon Violet right now, rather than in Home, for anyone that may have noticed that that wasn't there, despite it being on the spreadsheet. I don't know how closely people are looking, but hey, some people really lock in and they notice everything, so... Someone will probably notice a mistake as well, which would actually trigger me. If you see a mistake, don't tell me. Just don't tell me. I'd rather not know. I'll figure it out eventually. But yeah, that is the end of the spreadsheet, and that is my current shiny collection. So, if you enjoyed being nosy in this video and looking through my shiny collection with me, then I hope you enjoyed. But ultimately, I am very happy with this personal milestone achievement. If I manage to complete the Shiny Dex in another 3 years, that would be insane, but I imagine it will slow down a lot now that the big bulk of it is done, as, you know, the front load, that were the easier ones to shiny hunt. A lot of the legendaries take a lot longer, so we'll see how it goes in the future. There might be an update when I get to, like, 750 or something. I don't know, but for now, this is a personal milestone video. There might be a couple of other personal milestone videos that I upload, more from other games. Notably, saying this out loud is a bad idea, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm considering doing a Rune Level 1 no Shadow Tree Blessings run, which is basically a masochism run where you die in one hit to literally anything. And I was considering uploading the successful boss fights to YouTube when I complete them. If that interests anyone, please let me know, as it might make me finally get up and actually do it. At the moment, I'm putting it off because the final fight seems yucky, but we'll see. For right now, though, if you guys have enjoyed this slightly odd video, please go ahead, leave a like down below, hit that subscribe button, and without further ado,